Well, yes, Iman, we are seeing them leaving now. We understand that about 320-something people are now going to be on that flight. We know that previously when we were here, there were issues with regards to the paperwork, the permits, as well as making sure that people were on the plane. But we've seen also the screening that took place, which was together with the immigration of South Africa. And now we are seeing those passengers that have taken, are basically going to take flights, as you can see right behind me. Just few hours earlier, Iman, it was a hive of activity here. You could barely walk, mainly because of those people that had decided that they are going back to Ghana. But I want you to listen to the High Commissioner as he explains to us exactly how many people are going to board that flight.
Well, we have close to about 326 people that are currently here. Unfortunately, we're going to only be able to take 300 people at this goal. We are aware that the same aircraft company has been hired again for another batch that leaves in a couple of days from now, less than a week. So what we'll do is that the first batch will go, we'll bring another batch, and then we continue until any Ghanaian in this country that wants to go home is fully repatriated. We're looking at the number way above 1,000. Currently, we have about 890 that have registered till this day. This will swell each day because anytime any Ghanaian feels like they are not welcome in this country and they want to go home, governments will ensure that they go home. And that is why we are working to ensure that those that are in this country, some are legitimate, some are undocumented, some are documented. All of them form part of this group and all of them are going home.
And of course, we know that what's also been important is that the screening process must be done accordingly for everyone to be able to board that flight. And I want to bring in now my guest to speak to us about this. If you can just take us through the processes that you had to go through in order to be able to get these passengers on this flight.
Yeah, good morning and good morning to South Africa. I think it was important for us as not only as the Department of Home Affairs but as the net joints, which pretty much the responsible authority to see that this exercise is taking place smoothly. When we received the request from the Ghanaian embassy that there are people that want to be repatriated, it was important that we first get the list of people of those who want to go back to Ghana. And we started last week Thursday with the embassy to start working on the verification of those individuals, as well as to just check against the security systems of this country to make sure that those who are departing are indeed also satisfy our compliances. And it's that exercise that took us until yesterday late, and last night through the night we worked through this in order for us to get here this morning to take out these 300 people that are about to depart from here back to Ghana.
Were you able to verify the documentation and were you able to figure out how many were documented or undocumented?
Well, what we found is that obviously we got the list, and one of the areas that we were obviously concerned was that not many of them had actual documents. So it is that process that we had to make sure that then we verify against the information that we receive from the embassy, against the systems of the Department of Home Affairs and others, to make sure that there is indeed these people that we can allow to depart. So in terms of the security vetting and checks, we are satisfied that those that are departing indeed can depart, but more importantly, those who are non-compliant with that, it's important that we make sure that they are going against some of our list, whether those have overstayed a bit longer, non-compliant with the documents, and still continue with the necessary enforcement and sanctions against those individuals.
And we know that there were also some that you brought in as prisoners. Take us through that. What was happening there?
Well, perhaps not prisoners as such, but those deportees. So as a department, we obviously made use of the opportunity when the Ghanaians indicated that they want to take people back. We have a number of nationalities in our Lindela holding facility. This is a facility where when we arrest people, hold onto them until they are deported. So they allowed us to have at least close to 30 people into this flight that will be taking place this morning and taking them back to Ghana.
And those that were, you speak about them as being deportees. What were they being deported for?
Well, our fundamental responsibility of, as Inspectorate and as the enforcement entity of the Department of Home Affairs, is to ensure that there is compliance with immigration legislation. And any person who gets arrested or found not in compliance with that, obviously it is our responsibility to arrest, take them to a court process, and let them end up in Ndela, and from there we deport them. And it's not only the nationalities of Ghana, we have from various countries across the continent as well as across the globe. So we have nationalities from all over the world that end up in Ndela for deportation purposes because they have transgressed the Immigration Act.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. That's, of course, immigration. Just giving us highlights, man, in terms of what was taking place here. So we now know that there were those that were also going to be deported by the country, and they were able to put them on the flight. That's what we're hearing from immigration as well. So over 300 people right behind me. That's the tail end of it, Iman. Those are the people that are now going to be going on to that flight that we understand it has been organized by the government, but a different crew today. As we were speaking to them, they were no longer open to speaking to us on camera, and they said they had gotten instructions not to speak to cameras anymore.
Immigration officials at OR Tambo International Airport say only a few of the Ghanaian nationals who boarded the evacuation flight, that's what it's been called this morning, had valid documents. That's a live picture there on the runway at OR Tambo International Airport this morning, carrying that special charter. About 330 individuals took up their government's offer for being part of this voluntary repatriation program. So they're being taken to the capital, Accra. They say this is over growing safety concerns in South Africa. Mobile Madlala has been there since the early hours. Mobile, we're showing our viewers live picture from the runway, but take us back a couple of hours when there were long queues of Ghanaian nationals seeking to go back home on this first flight.
Yes, Iman, a lot of people really interested to make their way back to Accra and also to get those benefits that they have been promised by the government. So a little earlier on, we saw numerous people. In fact, I can confirm to you that it was about 7 buses that left the embassy on its way to OR Tambo. But it wasn't only the buses, it was also other vehicles, smaller vehicles that were there. Further than that, there were some people also that came by themselves, which did explain that even though they had registered their names with the embassy, they then decided that they were going to make their way to the airport by themselves. So there were numerous people. You had children, you had women, you had males in that plane. But what we have heard also from the officials from Ghana is that they have been told to ensure that the first people that board the flight are mainly and prioritize children and women and ensure that they are the first ones that get that priority. At the same time, Iman, as we see that plane right in front of us, we understand that according to immigration, they have spoken about the fact that they've had to verify the documentation that was provided by the embassy, as well as the documentation that was provided by the people that were there, and ensure that everyone was in the country lawfully. And we have been told that only a handful really were found to have been documented. Now, we have spoken to the High Commissioner to question really that, and he has spoken about the fact that yes, there were people that didn't have any documentation, but there were also people that had documentation, but it was never updated. And as a result, this is why they found that many of them were actually found to not be compliant. And these are the things, of course, that the immigration had to work on during their Sunday screening. And you'll remember that that part where we saw some of South African immigration officers going in, taking details, taking addresses, taking ID numbers from those that are deciding that they want to leave. We have been told that it's a number that is an upwards of 1,000 that wants to actually go back to Ghana. But at the moment, we know that just an upwards of 300 is on that flight that is going to be boarding to Accra. But how are they going to be received when they get home, Iman? We are told that there is going to be a psychosocial support that is going to be provided to them. They are going to be provided with jobs in terms of being put on the database for those that require jobs, and for those that want to study will be provided with an option for them to be able to study. We are told also that already there are business people that have said that they're more than willing to provide work for them when they get to Accra. But we also know that not a lot of them are actually from the city. In fact, we have been told that some of them live as far as 600 kilometers away from the city. And this is why, as they go back, that also as they go to Ghana, they will have to be looking at things like transportation and how to get them to their relatives as well as to nearest to their home. So these are some of the plans that have been provided by the government in Ghana. But in South Africa, we understand that between Ghana and South Africa, they remain okay. We have been told that the diplomatic relations has not been strained at all. In fact, they do believe that South African government has really assisted quite a lot with regards to what has taken place here, and also that they remain in talks. Even though we understand that there's also Ghana that has gone to the AU saying that they want that South Africa be petitioned for the xenophobic attacks that are currently happening in the country. But we also know that South Africa has remained very clear that there are no attacks that are taking place in the country. But of course, we will see that as it unfolds into phase 2.